Hey guys, welcome to the beta stage of my DA, Locals Only. A quick recap for any new viewers. Locals Only is an interview podcast series where I sit down with high-level athletes from the Illawarra. We talk about where they're at in their careers, how they got there, and how growing up in Wollongong helped them. I've currently published the first 3 episodes of the podcast, and while there have been a number of setbacks to this point, it's been for the most part pretty successful. I'm currently uploading the podcast via Anchor FM, which is a site built solely for making and sharing podcasts. Through being on Anchor, it's also available on 6 other platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts as well. It's still a goal of mine to have it published on Spotify, but being available on this many platforms already is a great thing, as it gives more people access to the podcast, helps get my name out there, that sort of thing. Over the first 3 episodes, I've had an average audience size of 63, with 190 overall listens. This includes listeners in 9 different countries, which is pretty impressive considering the market was intended as Illawarra sports fans. Along with the podcast, I've also set up a Twitter account to spread awareness of my podcast, to interact with the fans, just to get the word out there a bit more. This included a segment where I'd field questions from Twitter to ask each week's guest. It was questions from Twitter. However, the interaction and the responses I was getting from that, it was pretty limited. It wasn't really what I wanted from it, so I didn't think it was adding much value to the show, so I'm going to phase it out going forward. I also need to start to promote the show more widely, as the views have dropped with each episode. That's somewhat expected though, as people do lose interest or decide that it's not for them. They'll try it once and then it's not really their thing. I've also asked for suggestions as to what sports my audience would like to see covered in upcoming episodes in an effort to sort of engage with them a bit more. This was fairly successful. I received a range of answers, anything from local AFL to even some alternative sports, maybe even esports. One big issue that I dealt with in recording the first few episodes also related to the recording technology itself. I was originally planning on using the university recorders, but I had 2 failed recordings in a row, which was pretty frustrating, and this led me to invest in buying my own recording microphone, so I'd have reliable access to recording equipment, which would streamline the process, and that's here. The microphone I chose to go with was one that's used by a large amount of YouTubers and podcasters that I'm aware of, so I consider it a worthwhile investment. Additionally, I'm doing a journalism degree, so I figured I definitely need to use it in the future. In editing the podcast, I've been using the software Hindenburg, which we were taught to use in my journalism class. However, with my free trial of this expiring, I'm planning to jump over and start using Adobe Audition, which I learned originally to use during BCM114, but I've been using sort of to do some other stuff not related to uni. But I do get free access to it through a uni account, so I'm going to take advantage of that, obviously. I think it'll probably take a little bit to get used to the new system, but overall it shouldn't really affect the podcast too much. I think I should be able to wrap my head around it. I also need to work on reducing background noise and the echo quality that my recordings have, and I can do this by recording in a better setting, as well as reducing it in production. I think overall I could just work on my audio more generally, make it sound a bit more polished, I know that is one thing that I really had to work on. However, up to this point, I'm feeling very confident with what my podcast's doing. The guests I've had on so far have had a pretty good reception, and I've been really happy with how the conversations have gone. I've currently got another 3 guests lined up already, and I'm happy with how they are as well. And then there's 4 more that I'm trying to fill, but I've got some good leads, got some good ideas, got some stuff I really want to fill in there. I think overall it's definitely helped me be part of sort of Illawarra sports media, and I'm very happy with this project.